Hi, I'm Jillian with the Happy Group, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 subtle signs your job may be meaningless. Here on our channel, we just want to talk about the best ways to approach working. So as a policy, we would like open communication. So please, if you have any suggestions or comments or questions, or would even like to just start a discussion, please put it in the comments section. We would love to have that, discourse. Anyway, let's get this list started. Starting with number 10, low wages, benefits, and security. Obviously, I said I would be subtle, but stay with me here. This goes deeper than just poor wages or low benefits. It's when jobs that are making more than enough profit only provide the bare minimum as an employer, and it just barely covers the basic needs, if they even cover the basic needs at all. If you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll know that at the bottom, before we can, as human beings, can pursue any other types of fulfillment, we need to fill physiology and safety. And if those needs aren't met by our work, there is absolutely no way we could even begin to find meaning in our work. I mean, we'd barely be able to survive. And to just add salt onto the wound, if a company's making profit and they only give you the bare minimum, it shows a lack of regard for you as a living creature, especially if they're making thousands or millions in profit per year. Subtle sign of a meaningless job number 9, abusive managers or low quality leaders. Anyone who has ever had this problem would know just how significant it is. The negative effect of having a poor leader. Not only does it throw a proverbial wrench into how things work in your environment, but it also damages the well-being of anyone who has to work with this poor leader or abusive manager. Anyone who has experienced abuse with their manager would know just how negative of an impact it can have, not only on the environment, but your well-being as an employee under this manager. These types of managers feel no accountability to anyone and feel that they don't have to answer to those who work beneath them. Having an abusive manager can create a climate of abuse where it's seen as okay by everyone else to be abusive, especially when a single target has been chosen as the object of abuse. I myself have an experience with an abusive manager who tried to put they put their hands on me. It wasn't pleasant. I didn't even react instantly. I was so shocked by what had happened. My first instinct was to just accept it and continue on with my day. But as I'd gone through my day, I reflected on it and I had realized, hey, that was wrong. And the course of action I took, which is what I thought was best, was to pull them aside and say, hey, I don't appreciate what you did. Please don't do that. I understand you may have been frustrated with me in the moment, but it was no reason for you to put your hands on me. And in return, that person did apologize and such. But I can say, with having worked in that environment, that abuse continued on around us, and it was a very toxic environment. And people don't really speak about the abuse that they experience from their managers, whether it's verbal, emotional, or physical. And I think it's a very subtle sign that isn't talked about nearly as much as it should. A subtle sign your job is meaningless, number 8, a sense of dread when you're going into work. You should never underestimate your own instincts, your own intuition. And so when your body rebels in any way at the idea of even going into your work, you should listen. This is your body physically warning you that your job doesn't coincide with what you want to achieve or be as a person. And you need to trust those instincts. How is a person supposed to feel meaning for their work if when it comes time for them to go to work every day, they experience a small death every time they go? Subtle sign number 7 that your job may be meaningless is that you feel alienated from your work or from the people around you, or even from the product that you're creating. Have you ever heard of the theory of alienation by Karl Marx? It's a concept of the division of labor in capitalism, and the loss of control people have by being separated from what they're making and how it's being made. It removes your sense of control and is dehumanizing. Marx felt that capitalism's division of labor removes the sense of control that people have over their work. Human beings as a species take a lot of pride in the work that we do and what we create. And by having us broken and into pieces and put on an assembly line to do only one part of what we're supposed to see to completion, to be able to connect with what we're doing, that has been stripped away in capitalism, and that has, according to Marx and according to research, being alienated from the working environment around you ends up having such significant impact in our sense of meaning. Subtle sign your job is meaningless. Number 6, poor job fit. This is when your job is incompatible with your personality, values, or your skill level. Examples of this are situations where people like Edward Snowden come forward and become whistleblowers because the organization they were working for doesn't fit the values that they would like to be associated with. When it comes to poor job fit, if you're bad at your job, that's okay. It's the realization that maybe this might not be the job for you. Maybe this is not a job that is meaningful, and maybe you should let it go. For a job to have meaning, you need to feel like it is a part of you and that you are a part of it, and that by your being a part of it, you add. And a person can only feel like they're adding when they feel like they're good at it. If you're bad at your job, it's okay. Take it as a sign that it may not be the job for you, or that you need to work on it to make it into the job for you. Meaningless job sign number 5. You have a front stage version and a backstage version. Do you ever have those times where when you're at work, you have to be a different version of yourself to feel accepted or to feel secure in your position? This is known as a front stage, backstage, where you have a front stage version you present at work and a backstage version that is the true you. This is a survival strategy that you feel when your job security is threatened or the environment makes you feel like you need to conform to not feel alienated. It is almost impossible for a human being to feel meaning true meaning in a place where they can't be themselves. Subtle sign that your job may be meaningless. Number 4, surveillance. I know a lot of people who are watching this can understand micromanaging. Surveillance can range from micromanaging to constant video and audio surveillance. Systems that have high surveillance increase their sense of alienation in their employees because their employees feel a lack of autonomy and respect. And how can you blame them? We're going into one of my own personal stories, but I have had experience in a workplace where they recorded audio and video of everything, and it was the most demoralizing environment, and they would use this information against you, and you're not allowed to talk to anybody. If they hear you talking to someone, they will pull up the audio just to hear your conversations. It was madness. All of this to say, how in the world can anyone find meaning in a place where they are constantly watching you? That says, I have no respect for you, period. Sign your job may be meaningless. Number 3, control over your emotions. You know those jobs where they come in and expect you to be all perky and up to beat when you really don't feel like it? Where they have that Target joy, or wherever you work, or when an organization or business expects you to always be calm and collected, even when you had the crappiest day of your life. These types of places are particularly insidious because they try to take control of your very emotions. They try to reach their little corporate fingers in your brain and tickle those nerves and try and make you into their little soulless, empty emotional or emotionless drones that just represent what they think is the best representation of their company. And that is a totally different level of control that I have absolutely no respect for. It makes me sick. It is sickening. Can you think of the type of company that would have to exist where they expect you to have the emotions that they want you to have? Like, doesn't that just sound wrong to you? They tell you to have specific emotions. But yes, this is, and what makes it worse is that they actually promote this. A lot of companies end up promoting this type of view where you should tell your employees that to feel in a certain way. And it's misguided. I understand where they're coming from, but it's very misguided and dehumanizing. Extremely damaging. Okay, I'm getting heated now. Subtle sign your job is meaningless. Number 2, you have an inauthentic manager. This one may not seem as serious as some of the ones I've mentioned before, but it like the last one, has a bit of an undertone of insidiousness that really gets my goat. This is when a manager is theoretically good, but there are things that they do that just indicates they have low trust in you, little respect, and don't do much to really support you. I mean, on paper, these are good managers, but there's just that feeling that there's something off about them. And what that feeling is that these managers want to control you. They come off seem like they have the best intentions, but their actions don't really support you as one of their employees. Sometimes it maybe even seems like they sabotage you. Sorry to interrupt, but we've gotten to that part where I've got to ask, please, if you enjoyed this, learned anything, if you're just curious about how we end up, please click that like and subscribe button, or even leave a comment. We appreciate any feedback you give us, because not only does it help promote our philosophy and ideals about the workplace, but it also helps us understand you better and hear what the world needs. So again, I encourage you to please have discourse, conversation, and let us know your feelings, because it's truly important for us to talk about what's going on right now in the workplace. And last but not least, subtle sign that your job is meaningless. Number 1, there is a disconnect between the rhetoric of what your company is saying and the realities of their behavior. This can be applied to any person. This could be applied to not just businesses, people. If you or an organization has the habit of preaching certain values, but when it comes down to acting on those values, it's a whole different story. When it comes time to act according to those values, it goes out the window, and behavior does not follow what has been said, and they become hypocrites. It's hypocrisy when the rhetoric of a company does not match what they are saying. It is a huge problem. That is the sign number 1, and it is so it's so ingrained into the business community at this point that nobody really even seems to acknowledge it as much of an issue until now, which is why I'm so happy about the whole quiet quitting movement. It is finally here, and I am so happy. But employees, I don't really like that word. I prefer associates, but they are not stupid. They know what you're doing, and they know that you're banking on them being too desperate to call you out on it. But no, companies need to be called out. We need to call them out on it. I'm calling them out on it right now. There have been so many companies that I have worked for this company, and I keep telling them that they need to match their rhetoric with their behavior, because nothing will be solved. None of their problems will be solved until they do this. This is the single biggest problem I have found in all of my studies and all of my work and all of my experimenting with all of my application of any company. Most of the companies I've worked for to try and implement this. This is the biggest one right here. The hypocrisy that exists in their organization, where they will say they want to do this. They will say they want to make it better, but they are not willing to put in the work. They are not willing to back up these words with their behavior, and we are sick of it. Okay, I'm sorry. I got mad. I got heated. Calm down. I'm sorry. This is my passion, and I get passionate when I have to talk about it. I just hate to see the world suffer right now because of this. And we are. Thank you for listening. Please follow us on go to our website for some of our blogs, outlines, I'm sorry, I made myself so mad. I don't even know what to say. Thank you for watching. I'm going to leave it here. I will see you next week. And thank you. We send you all the love in the world. Bye.